start. We're up to Siman Kaftes, page 78, top of the page, Siman Kaftes. Okay?
65.
Yeah, you're in English.
Okay, Siman Kaftes, voice of Echad. Sev Aleph. Eine wo ich shum bracha keshecholet tefillen, afilu keshechol tzom erev Shabbos ben hashmoshes. Okay, so we don't make any bracha when we take off tefillin. And the MISHNA Berura mentions that, points out that the reason why this is, the Shulchan Aruch tells us this, is because the Gemara brings down that there was a minhag in Eretz Yisrael to make a bracha when they took off tefillin. Right? Lishmor chukov. Lishmor chukov. So the minhag is not to do that. It's now universal. Times of the Gemara wasn't universal, now it's universal. We don't make a bracha when we take off tefillin.
Why did it have to mention about the Yerushalayim?
Oh, why does it mention it? Okay. I wasn't going to read the MISHNA Berura, but I'll explain what the MISHNA Berura says. The MISHNA Berura says because Erev Shabbos, on Shabbos we're not allowed to wear tefillin. So it's a proper hefsek. Right? It's a time when it's not Shabbos is lav zman tefillin. It's not, there's no mitzvah of wearing tefillin on Shabbos. The rest of the week there is. So you might think at the end of the week is now the end of it's the end of the week. There's now no, it's the end of the chiyuv of wearing tefillin. Maybe you should now make a bracha. Whereas not wearing tefillin at night, we're going to see in a minute, is just a technical issue. It's just a drabonon. The Rabbanon said we're not allowed to wear tefillin at night, but really, midorai, someone could wear tefillin at night. But Shabbos is Shabbos one's not allowed to wear tefillin. Let's move on. Siman Lamed. Zman hanochoson b'vohi seifim. Aleph. Zman hanochoson b'boiker mishiyire es chaveroi horogil imo k'tas b'rich daled amis v'yakirenu. The time one puts them on in the morning is when there's enough light outside, right? Not including the street lamps, when there's enough natural light outside that he can see his friend, who he's Rogan Moiktas. He's not such a close friend. He's an acquaintance, right? B'richuk daled amos, at a distance of 4 amos, approximately 2 meters, v'yakrenu, and recognize him. Right? This shear, which is known as Misha Yakir, comes into play in three times. Generally, the beginning of the day is Alois HaShachar. That's when the first rays of light start coming up. With certain things, we have a lot of the Rabbanon said not to do them. Some day mitzvahs the Rabbanon said not to do until Nei Tachama, which is sunrise. There's this time in between the two of them, which is known as Mishayakir. Right? It's relevant in three places. We've already seen one of them. Hilchas Tzitzis. Mitzvah Tzitzis is Mishayakir. Tefillin, and the third one is Kriyashma. Each one has its own reason, but it's basically when there's a significant amount of light. It's enough light that one can see his friend and recognize his friend. With tzitzis, we need u'isemo, so it has to be enough light that we can see the tzitzis. Right? That's why it's Mishayakir, not Alois HaShachar. When the first rays of light start coming up, it's not enough to see the tzitzis. Right? With Kriyashma is dependent on when people are sleeping, when they're not sleeping. Right? When we wake up in the morning, when we wake up, then it's the time of Kriyashma. So again, it's not dependent on when the first rays of sun come up. It's dependent on when there's enough light that people now start getting out of bed. Right? So why with tefillin is it dependent on this? So let's have a look at the MISHNA Berura. Sivkot Aleph. Hanochoson. The earliest time of putting them on, Mishayire, is when he sees. The mitzvahs kol hayoyim. And the mitzvah is then the whole day. What's the reason? The reason we haven't yet seen why. The reason why we don't wear tefillin at night is because we're worried he's going to fall asleep in them. Okay? Until there's the significant amount of light, Mishayakir, this which we call Mishayakir, until one has the significant amount of light, we're still worried he's going to sleep in them. So it's very much connected to the same reason really as Kriyashma. Kriyashma is of kumecha, when people are now stop sleeping when they get up. It's the same reason as tefillin. The reason why we don't wear tefillin at night is not because it's night. It's not that night is the problem. The problem is the sleeping. We're worried he's going to sleep with the tefillin on. Right? So the time when the mitzvah of tefillin starts is not at the end of the night, which is Alois HaShachar. Rather, it's the time when people get up, which is Mishayakir. Now, when is this time Mishnah Yakir? Is that what you want to know?
No, this raises the question. Let's say you're on guard duty in the base of Mikdash all night, and you go to sleep when it's dawn. It would reverse your particular situation.
So there's a takon of Chazal when we should put on tefillin, which is from Mishnah Yakir. Right? Now, definitely in terms of everyone's individual situation, if there's a problem he's going to put on tefillin and fall asleep with them, then of course he shouldn't put on tefillin.
Right.
But in terms of when Chazal were misaken the mitzvah, they said from Mishnah Yakir is when we can count the mitzvah.
Goes on rope b'nei adam, right?
Yeah, that's the time for the mitzvah. But the reason still applies. That if it's a problem, if he's going to fall asleep in them because he's been up 2 days in a row and he's definitely going to fall asleep, then he should put on tefillin. Now, when is this time Mishnah Yakir? It's an amount of light that there is. Right? The way we define how much light there is by how low the sun is beneath the horizon, how many degrees the sun is beneath the horizon. The general time taken is 11.5 degrees, when the sun is 11.5 degrees beneath the horizon, which obviously it will depend in every country how far north or south they are, and what time, and depends on the time of year as well. In Eretz Yisrael it ranges from about 50 to 60 minutes before Neit Tzachama. Like 50 to 60 minutes before sunrise. Right? But in the country that's farther north, it will be before this.
So meaning it takes 50 to 60 minutes to go that 11.5 degrees?
To travel that 11.5 degrees. That's right. So in places where they have to go to work, they have to daven earlier, right? Where the sun rises quite late, in the winter they can have a problem. So what they do is, we're going to see when we learn Hilchos Tefillah, they'll start davening without tefillin, and then they'll put it on in the middle of davening. We'll see when we learn Hilchos Tefillah what stages you can make a bracha, what stages you can't. I come from London, and the early minyan, and they have to put on tefillin often before Baruch She'omah, before Yishtabach. We'll talk about it when we get to Hilchos Tefillah.
Same in Jerome.
Okay, let's move on. Sif base. Also, laniach tefillin balaylo. Shema yishkeinchem v'yishan bohem. One may not put tefillin on at night, because we're worried he's going to forget and sleep in them. Okay? Let's deal with this halacha by itself before we continue with the sif. As we mentioned, Laila we paskin is machlokes in Gemara. Laila is zman tefillin. Midoraisa, according to the Torah, one can wear tefillin at night. Only Shabbos and Yom Tov is not. Right? According to the Torah, one can put on tefillin on Motzei Shabbos, straight after Shabbos, and wear tefillin all the way through until Kabbalah Shabbos, until he and brings in Shabbos the next week, according to the Torah. Only Shabbos and Yom Tov one can't wear tefillin. However, Chazal said that in the night we should not wear tefillin. Right? Why not? Because we're worried, says the Shulchan Aruch, Shema Yishkechem, we're worried he's going to v'yishan bohem. We're worried he's going to fall asleep. Okay? Now, what's the problem if he falls asleep? Why is it a problem to sleep with tefillin? Let's have a look at the MISHNA Berura. MISHNA Berura have got some. But before we see the reason, the MISHNA Berura in 6 Daled is going to tell us the reason. Before that, we have a different MISHNA Berura, which defines for us when night is, and then we'll see the reason in a minute. So if Kokin Gimel Balaylo, Ubein Hashmoshes Medivi HaMogravom Mashma Demuta Lechatchila Naniach. Right? First is going to define for us when night starts. We've defined in the morning. We've said it's Mishnah Yakir, when it's light enough that he can see. He see his friend from a distance of 4 amos. When does the night start? The Mogravom says that Bein Hashmoshes is the period from sunset, Shkia, until Tzeis HaKol until the stars come out. According to the Mogravom, Bein Hashmoshes one can put on tefillin, which means that one can wear tefillin until Tzeis HaKol until the stars come out. But the Pri Megadim is stafik the Pri Megadim is not so sure about this. Unless he hasn't yet been becoming the mitzvah of tefillin that day. So preferably he should put them on before sunset. That's the latest time. However, if he missed sunset and he hasn't yet put on tefillin that day, he can put them on until Tzeis HaKol, till the time when the stars come out.
Is there a difference between when you can put them on and when you can wear them?
Meaning, if he's already wearing them,
would
that mean he doesn't have to take them up? Yes, there is a difference. We're going to see this in a minute. Okay. Save cotton dalit, v'yishan. Now we haven't yet discovered the problem. What's the problem if he sleeps with his tefillin on? What's the problem? Says the MISHNA Berura of cotton dalit. V'chayshinon shema yafiach b'sheinosoi. We're worried that he's going to pass wind when he's sleeping. when we wear tefillin, we have to have a guf noki. We have to have a clean body. And therefore, it's a very grave prohibition. One may not pass wind when wearing tefillin. Right? When one is sleeping, one is not control of one's body. One's not in control. And therefore, we're worried that when he's sleeping, he's going to pass wind. And therefore, he may not, the Rabbanan said he may not wear tefillin while he's sleeping. And therefore, he may not wear tefillin at night at all. As we mentioned, according to the Torah, one could wear tefillin at night. It's only a rabbinic prohibition wearing tefillin at night. Okay.
So if there's a Torah requirement to wear tefillin each day, and you haven't worn tefillin, and the 3 stars are out, you could.
Answer is you couldn't, because Rabbanan said you can't. This is a klal called Yesh Koyach B'Yad Chachomim. Okay, I'll ask you a different question. Okay, a few years ago, I think 2 years ago, Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbos. Right. There's a Torah obligation to blow the shofar.
Correct.
Did you blow the shofar or listen to the shofar?
No.
Why not?
Because it was Shabbos.
So, according to the Torah, one should. In fact, we don't have to go that far back. Oh no, yeah, we do have to. We can give other examples, but the answer is, the Rabbanan said one may not blow the shofar on Shabbos. The Rabbanan have the ability, it's called Yesh Koach B'Yad Chachomim, La'akor Dovar Min HaTorah, B'Shev Val Ta'aseh. The Rabbanan are allowed to uproot a Torah obligation if it's passive. They can't tell you to do something when the Torah says not to do it. They can tell you not to do something if the Torah says to do it. There's always got to be a good reason. They always give very good reasons why.
Right.
In the kosher shofar, they're worried that we're going to end up carrying it in a Rosh Hashanah, which is going against a different Torah prohibition. So because of that, the Chacham can tell you, don't do this Torah obligation, even though the Torah says to do it. The Chacham says you're not allowed to do it, as long as it's passive, as long as it's b'shev al taseh. So too, it's the same thing. Rabbanan telling us not to put on tefillin at night. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What if the person's put on tefillin up to say kochavim? The removal of the tefillin, what happens there? Till what time can you remove it?
Excellent. So that we're going to see now. Let's read the Shulchan Aruch now. That's the next words of the Shulchan Aruch. We're continuing now Sif Beis. Im Henicham. In mind there's a full stop. So on the same line as Sif Beis near the end of the line.
It's literally what you just said.
Im Henicham Kodem Shetishka Achamo V'chosh Chalav. If you put on a tefillin when it's daytime, before sunset, and now it got dark, even if they're on him the whole night, it's okay. Right? So the Rabbanan said only not to put on tefillin at night time. If one put it on...
Not to say the bracha.
Not just the bracha, even to put them on without a bracha, one may not do. One may not put on tefillin at night. However, if one was already wearing tefillin, he doesn't have to take them off when it gets dark. He can leave them on. Right? Obviously, he should take them off before he goes to sleep. He can't go to sleep with tefillin on. But he may leave them on until he goes to sleep.
I don't understand that. The reason that we don't put them on after dark is a concern that we might fall asleep with them.
That's right.
But you could put them on 2 minutes before dark and wear them till 4 in the morning.
Right.
We're not worried you'll fall asleep.
So the Rabbanan didn't go so far as to say that one has to take them off. They said you're not allowed to put them on after dark. But to take them off, they didn't go so far. But listen to this, the end is very interesting, the end of the line. Ve'ein moirin came. Well, it shouldn't publicize this. Right? There's certain halachos where it says in the Gemara, or the Rishonim say, Ein moirin came, we don't publicize it. It's mutter.
They really can, in the evening.
Right, exactly. Right? Ein moirin came. Right, because we're worried that if we publicize it too much, we're worried that people are going to misunderstand the halacha and come to even put on tefillin at night. So people who learn the halacha and understand the reasons behind the halacha, right, so they can learn this halacha. But if we publicize it with people who aren't learning the halachas, we're worried that they're going to misunderstand it and come to even put on tefillin at night. Okay. Let's continue. Let's continue with the Shulchan Aruch. Next line. Im lo yicholat tefillin misheshokar chama, mipnei shlo hayo lo makom leshamron, v'nimtzu olav kedei leshamron, mutter umoirin kein. If the reason why he didn't take off his tefillin at night is because he hasn't got any safe place to put them, so he's leaving them on in order to look after the tefillin, then this is fine. This one he can even publicize. This is halacha that one can publicize. One can leave one's tefillin on in order to put it, if there's a problem of he's got nowhere to put them, which is safe.
But he can't go to sleep with them.
Yes, correct. Okay, let's continue. Seif Gimel. If he wants to leave, he wants to go on a journey and he wants to leave early, Manichon, he can put them on. When the time of putting on tefillin, the time Mishayakir, when that arrives, then he should be mamashmish, he should touch them, feel them, because we're worried, we're not worried that he's going to sleep in them.
So he puts them on,
yeah,
without a bracha,
right,
just to have them on, so that when the time comes, he can touch them and say
bracha. Yeah. Because he got up early. Let's see, the Mishnah will explain to us the reason for this. What's going on? Says the Mishnah, let's say to that, first of all, we're talking about where he won't be able to put the reason. There's a reason why he doesn't want to put them on later. If he's traveling on the journey, why can't he put them on later on the journey? He's on a train, right? So put them on later. The reason is because in order to put them on, he has to take off his sleeve, right? Take off his head covering. Right? It could be that on the journey, it's in a very cold place, Toronto. It could be that it's too cold. It's too cold to do that. So therefore, he wants to put them on before he leaves the house and leave his house fully clothed, so he doesn't have to do that on the journey. So then he can put them on early before he leaves, even though it's dark. Said the Mishnah, even if before daybreak, it's now night time, completely defined as night time. Right? So even before daybreak. So if he can, even when he puts them on, have in mind that he's doing a mitzvah. Because we mentioned that nighttime is really a time of tefillin, so he can even have intention to do the mitzvah. This is all okay, because we're not worried he's going to sleep in them. So even though Chazal allowed one to put them on at night, where we're not worried he's going to sleep. However, the Chazal did not allow us to make the bracha before the correct time. However, if he didn't know the halacha, or he forgot, and he did make a bracha when he put them on, in this circumstance before the correct time, he's yotz and he should not make another bracha when the time arrives. So if kodem yudalid ve'itzel haderech v'davka hoylech b'raglov oy roichev aval yoshev ba'agola also lo niach shema yishan b'hem mevayim b'halacha. This is only if he is walking or he is riding. Or nowadays it would be if he's driving a car. Because then we're not worried he's going to sleep. The other possibility is sitting in a
wagon or
wagon.
On a bus.
That's not riding.
In a wagon.
But you're not in charge.
Yoshev ba'agola. No, he's just sitting there. He's the passenger.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He's the passenger. No, not the one holding the reins. He's the passenger.
Okay.
And nowadays it would be the person on the bus, in the car, the passenger in the car, or the passenger on the plane, then it wouldn't be allowed.
You're not controlling the vehicle.
Exactly. The person controlling the vehicle is not allowed to fall asleep.
Right.
For obvious reasons. Okay. Fine. Sif Dalet. Sif Dalet. Hoyo Boba Derech. Tefilin Beroisha. He was arriving from the journey and he had tefillin on. V'shok olav chama. This is in the olden days when they would wear tefillin all day. Nowadays we only wear them for tefillah, so this is less likely. He's arriving and there's tefillin on his head, v'shokol of chama, and then the sun sets. Or he's sitting in the Beis HaMedrash with tefillin on his head, and then it's the end of the day. He should place his hand on them until he arrives home. If there's a house close to the wall, this is talking about in the olden days when the Beis HaMedrash, the Beis HaKnesset was outside the city. So he didn't want to leave them, doesn't want to leave them in the Beis HaMedrash because it's a So there might be, someone might take them. It wasn't mishtama, it wasn't protected in any way, and therefore he can go home, putting his hand on them in order to remember these guys to tefillin on, and then when he gets to the house that's closest to the wall of the city, there he should take them off. They should take them off.
It says the Kadosh Alav Hayom.
Yeah.
Does that mean it's the end of the day, or is that when Shabbos or Yom Tov arrived?
Okay, excellent question. Excellent. Why are you asking?
I would have thought it would have been Chalav Alav Hayom, and the day ended. But
because of the word Kiddush.
Kiddush.
Oh, I see, because of the word Kiddush.
The Yom became a Kiddush.
Right.
Bal Korka.
Right. Right, yes, you're right. We're talking about Shabbos.
Or Yom Tov, Mishnah.
Shabbos or Yom Tov, yeah. Yeah. The MISHNA Berura explains that the first part where it says Shok Olav Achamo is talking about Chol, weekday. And the second part which says Kiddush Olav Hayom is talking about Shabbos. Yeah, the second part. So let's see the MISHNA Berura explain what's going on. So Shok Olav Achola. We should do Mayu Bachol. The first part is talking about a weekday. He's worried that if he carries them, he's going to fall. They're going to fall. Therefore, he can leave them on and cover them with his hand. We already also of base, but even without the circumstance, generally, if he's already wearing tefillin, he doesn't have to take them off when it gets dark. The only prohibition is to put them on it after dark. But so what's the problem here? Why do we need a special heter here? We already said that the halacha of not taking them off, of leaving them on, is ein moirinkin. We don't publicize it. So obviously he was not allowed to go outside in the street with the tefillin on after night, even if he put them on. Even if he put them on during the day. And therefore here, we need a special heter. We allow it because he's travelling and he's worried that if he takes them off and holds them, he's going to drop them. And therefore we allow him to keep them on. We allow him to keep them on. Okay. Okay. We're talking here about when the stars come out. He doesn't have to take them off. This is the Ikra din. However, the Arizal was careful to take off his tefillin after sunset. So kommt Zayin, the Kiddush Chol Got Shalom mit der Nase ben Hashmoshes. Here we're talking about where it's Shabbos. He can't leave his tefillin out in the base of Medrash because they were outside in the b'mokum she'ein meshuma. They weren't guarded, they weren't protected from Naganovim because of thieves. Therefore, Chachamim allowed him to wear them home. If he's wearing them, it's derech malbush, it's like clothing, it's not called carrying. And therefore, he can wear them home. However, he has to cover them in order so people won't see that he's wearing tefillin on Shabbos. Okay, that's why he has to cover them. The covering them was in the second case where it's Shabbos, therefore he has to cover them so people don't see.
In the first case, it's just to remind him to take them off.
The first case, he doesn't have to hold his hand. It only said he has to put his hand there in the second case. In the first case, he doesn't need to. Okay.